Good morning, y'all. I'm out here walking at the lake, and I just wanted to come by and share a video with you guys. I did a Facebook Live, and so I wanted to do an Instagram Live because I tried to save it, but it didn't work out. Anyway, I want to talk about the upcoming year that will begin, the biblical year that begins on September 9th, 5779. So there's a biblical year that is upon us. And in God's calendar, He sets times and seasons. So we have our Gregorian calendar that we live by in our civic year. But then God has a calendar, a biblical calendar that He sets His times and seasons by, and it goes for all of creation and into Revelation. In the book of Revelation, there are still prophetic seasons yet to come that God will, good morning, that God will have His way in. And so every year there is a prophetic word that comes forth. Hello. There is a prophetic word over each year. And so as we prepare to enter into 5779, which is a biblical year equivalent to our 2019, September 9th, as opposed to January 1st, God has a word. And the Hebrew alphabet is like our alphabet. The difference is that every Hebrew alphabet also has a numeric value and a pictorial or prophetic value. And so when we talk about the prophetic value and the pictorial value, this is where the prophetic word or the prophetic blessing comes in over each year. And so God has this word. And so as He's been sharing with me, I wanted to share with you guys because it is a word to admonish, to encourage, and to urge us. And so the prophetic meaning in the 9, which is tet or mate, tate, like mate. That's how you pronounce it. You spell it T-E-T. And it is the number 9 and the Hebrew letter tate, which is almost like our T. But the pictograph or the Hebraic meaning is that which means fruitful or birthing or something hidden that will come forth. So with that in mind, the Lord had given me a word, and a couple of weeks ago in church, He spoke and said that there is it's a time of purging and pruning that is coming upon us, almost like the pruning that it's like the pruning that Jesus talked about in John 15. Hi there. Almost like the pruning that Jesus talked about in John 15, where He said, "My Father is a gardener. I am the vine, you are the branches. Anybody that bears fruit, anybody that abides in me, and in order to bear fruit, you will have to have a pruning." And so God spoke to me about this pruning, and I don't have the scriptures in front of me. I shared it on Facebook, but He spoke to me about the pruning and the cutting away, almost like I'm walking, almost like a circumcision at Lake Murray. Almost like a circumcision of the heart. And so there's a cutting away, a divine cutting away, and a divine pruning. But the thing about this is that God is not going to do it for us. He is asking us to do it. He is asking us, like He asked Abraham for the sacrifice, like He asked him for the sacrifice, to provide a sacrifice, to lay Isaac on the altar, to cut away the seed of flesh, to cast out the bondwoman and his son and her son. It's going to be something that God has put His finger on, and many of us already know what it is, but He has put His finger on some things. And in order to go into this season of fruitfulness, We have to be willing to lay those things down so we can birth. It is a season of birthing, and it is a season of fruitfulness, but it's up to us what we're going to birth. He said in the prophetic word that there's a cutting away, there is a pruning that must take place, and that we have to offer ourselves as a living sacrifice and bind ourselves to the altar. A living sacrifice must sometimes be bound because it wants to get up, like Abraham bound Isaac. And so there is you can think of it as a pruning and a cutting away, but it's also a binding that flesh, that cutting that flesh away, and flesh dies hard, so it has to be bound. We want those things, and it's little things. It's the little foxes that spoil the vine. It is the little idols that we don't think are a big deal, that God is after, that it can hinder our fruitfulness. And Mark talks about that, about the deceptions of the world that hinder, that stop us from being fruitful, and that the distractions that come and stop us from being fruitful that we don't see, but they're the things that we're filling our heart with. And just like circumcision is of the heart, this is why we have to go in as gardeners and pull out those things that easily beset us, that distract us and take us away from the purposes and plans of God, because there is something that is coming forth. But in order to go in the place that God has for you, and this year, where he wants you to produce fruit, where he wants you and me to produce fruit that will remain, it has to be given to him. Certain things have to be cut away. And so he's asking you for it. And you, just like me, know what those little things are that nobody else can see, because it is like something that is hidden. Just like the word, the letter depicts of a birthing or a pregnant woman who's hiding something, and we have to choose what we will. We have to choose what we will give birth to. Will it be from the flesh or from the spirit? The first use of that word, Tate, 5779, or the number 9, is found in Genesis 1:4, where God said, I have divided light from darkness, and I call the light good and darkness evil. There's a good thing that wants to come forth, but you have to choose. There's a divine separation that has to take place, that only you and God are witness to, that he knows. And you know what he's put his finger on. And so in order, as we go into this year of fruitfulness, God is asking you, will you cut away? Will you lay down on the altar of sacrifice the thing that he has put his finger on and asked you to offer? And I would like to also say that there is a divine window. That's why I needed to come on with this urgency. There's a divine window in which God is saying, give me what I've asked for. I will not take it from you. And David said, I will not offer God anything that didn't cost me something. So this thing that he's asking for will cost you something. And you know what it is. And again, it's the little foxes that spoil the vine. It's the little hidden idols that don't seem like they're going to harm anything. But Rachel, as she was going into the next place with Jacob after leaving her father, and he served him 14 years, she took 2 idols with her, household idols. And she didn't think nobody was going to know. But she swore by them, and Jacob swore by those idols, and he said, if somebody has taken your idols, let them die. And so he, without knowing, cursed his wife, the woman that he loved, because she had these idols that she tried to sneak in. So whatever we try to sneak in this hidden place will come to light. between you and God. If nobody else sees it, we could hide if we want to, but God will see it. And there's a day of reckoning. And I don't want to sound like, a hard, mean prophet, but I just want to deliver the word to you that there's a giving up, there's a cutting away in this divine, opportune time that God has set for us to search our hearts and to search our hearts and to give him what he puts his finger on, to offer that to him. And then the last thing is, I'm not sure if I went over this already, there was Isaac and there was Ishmael. Isaac was the promise. Ishmael was of the flesh. And Ishmael, God told Abraham to cast out the bondwoman and her son. So there's a cutting away and a casting out of things of the flesh that God is saying. Get rid of those. But then even when it comes to the promise, he's still saying, offer it to me and let me bless it. What we don't offer, what doesn't cost us something, then God can't bless. And so there's that also. And so beloved, what it is that God has been speaking to you about. Just like I know what it is that he's been speaking to me about in this time. And we have to be willing to give it to him. And we don't have to. He's not going to make us. But that which he has for us in the next season will not come forth with the fruitfulness that he has planned for us without this divine pruning that we must initiate. Romans 12:1 says, present your body a living sacrifice. And so it's a living sacrifice, something that we must present to him. And so I just pray for you that, and for myself, that which God has asked for, that we would give him. We would give him those things that he's asked us of, that he's put his finger on, that he said flesh and blood shall not inherit the kingdom of God. So he's put his finger on some things that he wants us to give him. And we must surrender those, or we can live in secret, hidden rebellion. And nobody will know for a while, but there will be a birthing. There will be a come to pass. There will be a revealing. And so I'm praying for y'all, as I am praying for me, that we would surrender to God and give him what he asked for and see the fruitfulness that he has for us. He doesn't do this to punish us, but to bless us so that more fruit can come. It could be a fruitful season as he has spoken, as he has declared over this year, 5779. And so, talk to you guys later. God bless.